so, of course, always great when you win a grand final. When you've only won a few over the journey, that's 6 in about 103 years, it's even a bit more exciting. Of course, Darren Reeves, coach of Glenelg, who defeated Sturt in the SANFL grand final, joins us. Firstly, mate, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Well, mate, so clearly you didn't read the mantra at Glenelg, 1934, 1973, 1985, 86, 2019, and then suddenly 2023, mate. I make that 6 grand finals in 103 years, so it's not like they happen easy.
Yeah, it's definitely been a struggle for Glenelg to win premierships. I know, talking to Peter Carey a lot over the last few weeks, I think he played in 10 grand finals to win 3. So, there was definitely a bit of pressure going into the game. There was the expectation was that we were a big chance to win, obviously, but there was some nervous people around the footy club that have seen it all before. So, and we'd had a great preparation going in as well, so that probably puts a little bit more nervousness, tension around the place. So, we got the job done in the end, so it was really pleasing.
It's a funny stat, that, because when you say it like that, 6 in 103 years, it seems like Glenelg have been around the mark
all the time. Yeah.
All the time. Like they've been very successful over the last, I don't know, decade, if you like. But when you say it like that, you go, oh wow, I would have thought they won more than that. That's what I'm trying to get at. Yep. Because they are a big club, big strong club.
Well, I was surprised when I researched it. I thought, wow, I don't know why I had a number of 20 plus in my head. And I went, so what it actually does for Reeves, they've won 6, but Cornsey won 2 of those. So he's one of 5 coaches in 103 years to win a premiership at Glenelg. Yeah. So once you start doing the numbers, it's. I know for you, mate, you don't like to talk about yourself, but the magnitude of what you accomplished in that footy club is quite staggering in a short period of time, one season.
I must admit that when I first got the job, I went into the change rooms and there's all the players' names up and the premiership players and stuff on the lockers, and there's a board in the change room that just had the premiership coaches, and I was blown away when there was only 4 names on that board at that point, because you just recognise Glenelg with success and being around the mark all the time. So to see my name up on that board now, that probably, it's a pinch yourself moment.
Well, the other one that Glenelg have been really good at too is sacking coaches, mate. They have had a record in the past for that. It's kind of tidied up in the last decade or so, but if you went through gone, you understand if you don't win it next year. That's the point I'm getting to.
Reality is well aware.
Let's talk about, sorry, I'm interested in grand final week, the build-up of the week, in that it becomes a much bigger circus and a much bigger focus. Did you prepare much coming into that week, and then did it pretty much go to script?
I think my experience over the last couple of years, having spent the last couple of years at North Adelaide and experiencing some grand finals, I took some learnings out of that, and talking to a lot of the guys that were around the place for Glenelg in 2021, and some things that they probably didn't get right. There was some things we definitely put in place, and there was a real focus for us for embracing what was ahead of us, but just enjoying it and making sure that when it got to the moments we executed, and that was training, our preparation, etc., and then game day. And one of the things, having our reserves group in the grand final as well, I know a lot of the players spoke about spending too much time watching the reserves game, so we made it a real focus for our league guys to not watch too much of the reserves game and make sure they got their preparation right. And I think in the end that was a pretty important thing to do, and to their credit, I feel like the playing group got their preparation done to the nth degree, and it was really important in the end.
You made the point before that there was a few of the older Glenelg fans that were a little bit jumpy because of what's happened in the past and all that. So they'd be good people to stay away from if I were you during the week, because there would be quite a lot of them. Are going, hey, hang on a minute, we've been there before. Yeah. A bit wobbly or whatever. That support us. Not good people, great people for your club, but not good people to talk to during a week, I wouldn't think. Yeah,
and I must admit, I tried to not engage in too many of those conversations, because our preparation had been so spot on to that point, and you expect something's going to go wrong at some point. So I tried not to get involved in too many of those conversations on from a personal perspective, and I definitely made sure the players didn't get involved in too many of those conversations either. We had a job to do, and that was what we focused on.
Well, it worked, because from what I saw, your preparation was spot on, because your first quarter was as good a quarter that I've seen all year from any team, whatever, in the SANFL. That was real pressure in that first quarter, and I thought it set your win up. I thought that first quarter really was the difference in the game. That's what I think so.
I mean, in big games of football, I think starting the game is incredibly important. It's always hard to chase from behind, and it probably wasn't the prettiest brand of football we've played all year, but we've been really focused on being a tough, consistent football side when it really mattered. And I think probably from a coaching perspective, when I look back on the year, the second semi-final and the grand final, we played a brand of football that we knew we had to play to win those big games, and that's the most pleasing aspect. We put some things in place and the players were able to execute that on the bigger stage, and that's a great credit to them.
But there's always great stories after you win, you know, players that have battled through something during the year and you've spent extra time with it, you're kind of glad for them that they won it. But there's always the horror stories leading into it, you know, the Thursday night selection or Wednesday night when you know a player that you've got to go and tell, for whatever injury or whatever, that he's not going to play. Any of those for you?
Yeah, we had a couple, and we'd had such a consistent year right through our club, and to Tom Stevens and the high performance staff credit, we had everyone available. Liam Wisden had played 16 games at league level and been a really important player for us through the course of the year. Unfortunately, his hammy in round 17, and it was a significant injury. We didn't think he was going to get back, but to his credit, he did everything right and got himself fit and trained in the week leading up to the grand final. And mate, if it was a round game early in the year, you might have taken a risk on it, but a grand final, having not played for 6 weeks, 28 degrees, it was just not a punt we were prepared to take. And so he was a really tough discussion. Brady Searle has been an outstanding league player for our footy club for a couple of years now, and he's had some ups and downs through the course of the year. He was the other one that was really unfortunate not to play. So there was some tough stories. On the flip side, there was some guys. Hugh Stagg had a really interrupted season, but had put some great footy together and got his way into the side round 17 and was outstanding and incredibly important for us. Archie Lovelock, as an 18-year-old, had played the first couple of games and then spent 10 or 12 games in the reserves and earned his spot back and was a really important contributor in the final series for us as well. So while there's some stories there's some great stories the other side of it as well.
This is my argument. You mentioned the player who played 16, 17 games for the year. This is my argument about medals.
Oh, I'm with you.
You know, I'm a great believer that these guys. I even look at assistants, coaches, who were there all year, do the same job, do the job every year. But a guy that plays 16 or 17 games, then gets hurt, then misses out on a GF. I look at Daniel McStay for Collingwood.
Yep, Noble.
I think these guys, deserve a medal. I think they should be part of the medal count because, I mean, really, they're a massive part of it. You just said he played 16 or 17 games and was a good player for you. Bang, he gets injured, he's out, and no one remembers him.
I mean, I agree. I mean, it's not the 22 that win the competition, it's a whole squad that wins the competition. Yeah. And I think we only used 29 players at league level this year, but my perspective is those 29 players deserve a medal, and that's, rightly or wrongly, that's what I believe. So they were part of what we were able to do on the day. Fortunately for our group, our guys had an opportunity to play in a reserves grand final as well, so they get to be part of the day, but they definitely contributed to what we were able to do from a league perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mate, talk about your assistant coaches. Mate, when you come in, sometimes the coaches are already there, sometimes you get a chance to bring in a new group. For you, what was the coming in for you?
A new reserves coach had been appointed before I got the job, Russell Van Lee, and he did an outstanding job winning a reserves premiership this year as well. Most of our assisting coaching group was there, and I knew a couple of those guys, so I was pretty keen to work with those guys, and I was fortunate enough to bring Clayton Lamb in as well. I had an opportunity to bring one person in as well, and he just came in and just complemented our group, but with Richie Douglas and Sam Balderstone, Brett Exelby, I had a coaching group that were all on the same page. We got on well, we had great conversations, we challenged each other, and I couldn't have had a better coaching group, to be honest.
You know, they say when you get a new playing group or you're coming as a new coach and you want your philosophy, it takes a while for it to gel, for it all to come into place, but they rarely talk about the coaches gelling. How long do you reckon it took? Could you compare the two? Could you compare the playing group with the coaching group? Well, I'd imagine it happens quicker with the coaching group because you're together more.
I think we all saw the game being played in the same way, so that was the easy part of it. And I think the fact that I was prepared to be challenged and I was happy to take on board any of their thoughts and advice pretty early on probably helped the process. And I think we just got on great as well. And I think we just hit it off right from the start, and I think that alignment with the coaching group then allowed the players to jump on board and put it in place pretty quickly.
Mate, you come from a different background, cricketing background into footy, mate. Along the way you work with a lot of coaches and then you form part of your own personality becomes the way you coach. Have there been a couple of coaches that you've taken bits from that you've worked with or that you've listened to? Has there been some?
Oh, absolutely. I think I've taken bits and pieces from everyone along the way, from what I feel like are the important elements of coaching, and you then try and put in place your own philosophy on it and keep. But I think you're learning every day. There's still people I talk to now. You're one of those, Phil, obviously, that I talk to regularly around coaching and the importance of things. So yeah, I still rely on those now.
It's been a bit of a life journey for you, mate, with your footy. You've been around a bit, Northern Territory. You've been up there. It's been when I was reading up on you, it seems to me that coaching has been what you want to do. That's exactly what you want to do. You have a company that you are a director of as well, that's there in the background. How do you do both, mate? How does that happen?
From a company perspective, unfortunately, I've got an outstanding business partner and my wife that are pulling up the slack for me not being there. From a coaching perspective, it's just something that's been a passion right from the start, and I love every part of it, and it's about willingness to want to learn all the time. And I think over the journey, I felt like I've probably been ready for the opportunity at different points, but I think the opportunities that I've had over the last 4 or 5 years have put me in a great position and grounded me really well for the opportunity that got presented this year.
So how did you get to Glenelg? You were at North Adelaide as a development coach there. You apply or were you approached?
I definitely, when the job came up late last year, it was something that appealed to me, so I threw an application in and then just went through the process, and it was a pretty quick process, but it was thorough, and it definitely challenged me, and just feel like everything aligned, that they were looking for the attributes I had, and I probably fitted what they needed, so that was pretty important.
It's amazing that you got the job on the recommendation. Just quickly in closing, because we've got to wrap it up. When the players went after the game, there's that raw emotion of the success of your teammates.
Yeah.
As a coach, mate, is it the raw emotion or is it relief, then the raw emotion? What was it for you?
Absolute relief. I mean, the stress of the day, and I coach from the bench, so you're sort of amongst the energy all day down there, and the last quarter we didn't play well, but once the siren went, it was just pure relief, and then it's just trying to celebrate with everyone once you realise what's happened. But even now, there's still a relief that all the work we put in place has come to fruition, I think.
Do you find a corner? Do you find a corner? If you go back to the club, there's a million people there. There's a million people want to smack you on the back, and everything's fantastic. Do you find a corner to sit down and go, whoa, hang on, wow?
I reckon the weekend just gone has probably been the first time I've actually sat down at home with the wife and family and actually taken a breath and
there you go.
And thought about what we've been able to do. It's been 10 months where it just seems like it's gone past really quickly. And but I think over the next couple of weeks we'll be able to do that.
Good on you, mate.
Do you want some advice, mate? You've finished enjoying it. You've got to get on to the next year, mate. You're done. It's been a great couple of weeks. Move on. Hey, mate, fantastic. Great accomplishment your first year in the seat, mate. Next year's going to be no doubt more challenging. So, Darren Reeves, Grand Final coach of the Glenelg Footy Club, our special guest. Stay with us.